I think by having this Fresh Roots mobile market come in, it's really ignited this, I guess, like as an outsider, this understanding that, it's not about, and this was my ignorance to it, it's not about people not wanting to eat healthy. It's that they don't have the access to, and starting to see this change and this growth. And yeah, I mean, we just need to get people good food with dignity.
Hi, I'm Naomi Mahaffey, and welcome to Pause, an Alberta Social Innovation Connect podcast. We invite partners and collaborators to pause from their busy work and sit down together to reflect on what they're learning as they seek to address the root causes of complex problems in their communities. It seems like many Albertans these days, particularly perhaps those of us in urban centres, are foodies. We take pride and joy in our city's diverse food offerings, including an expanding array of health foods and local and organic produce. Not all of us have the same opportunities when it comes to food, however. Urban sprawl, financial disparity, and transportation access make it more challenging for many residents to purchase affordable and nutritious food on a regular basis. In today's episode, we chat with Rob Ironside and Leslie Steeves about the evolution of Fresh Roots, a community-driven grocery store on wheels that is increasing access to fresh fruits and vegetables in underserved neighbourhoods and communities. Fresh Roots is, in their own words, a not-for-profit social enterprise that is focused on creating new, innovative ways of providing healthy and affordable food to as many Canadians as possible, especially those who need it most. This organization empowers people to make healthier choices without breaking the bank, by meeting them where they are with fresh, affordable, and nutritious food. They take their mobile grocery store to a variety of locations, such as universities, underserved neighborhoods, and Indigenous communities, always working alongside a community partner to build relationships and sell their produce. Elise sat down with Rob and Leslie to reflect on factors contributing to the rapid growth of Fresh Roots, what that journey has been like, and the impact they're seeing in their community. Here's their conversation.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our guests. Today in the studio, we have Rob Ironside and Leslie Steeves. Both of you are a part of Fresh Roots in different ways. So could each of you please introduce yourself along with the role you play at Fresh Roots?
Awesome. My name is Rob. I am a co-founder at Fresh Roots.
And I am Leslie Steeves, a dietitian at a Sitsiga Health Center.
Wonderful. And I'm going to get you to just jump into a little bit of an overview of Fresh Roots so that everybody knows what we're talking about.
All right. Fresh Roots is a social enterprise that is finding new and innovative ways of connecting individuals and communities with healthy and affordable food. So we currently have a mobile grocery store, which is either we have a mobile grocery store bus, which we're launching this year, as well as a modular one that's done out of reefer trucks, where we bring 20 to 35 produce items and a handful of dry goods to roughly 15 to 18 communities around Calgary, and we're up to about 10 communities in Edmonton, trying to make healthy, whole, nutritional ingredients available, affordable, and do it in a dignified way.
Amazing.
Totally
That's
amazing.
Great. Yeah, you're nodding. You agree.
Stoked.
So stoked.
Always stoked on Fresh Roots.
Love it. How did you start Fresh Roots? Why? What were the needs of the community you're responding to?
Yeah, well, I wish I could say I had this brilliant idea and I just built it. And just
An apple fell on my head.
Wrote out this amazing plan. No, we actually spun it out of an organization, a local charity called Leftovers. Leftovers is a food waste reduction organization, essentially keeping good food out of landfill and trying to do the most impact in the community that we can. So they support a lot of local agencies that do amazing work. So Boys and Girls Club, youth centers, drop-ins, shelters, whatever we can do with the food to maximize its impact. But the world of food waste is very different than the world of food access and food security. or reducing food waste. People kind of feel like they're the same, and you can solve one problem with the other, but you cannot. They are very complex issues. And there's also just like the dynamic of that, where it's like, we're going to take the things that people don't want or aren't eating, and just, I mean, it's still amazing food, and I eat it all the time. But there's like a dynamic there. And so we had this opportunity to partner with the city of Calgary and the housing program in the summer of 2018, just to like pilot a thing around food access and food security. And so we took that opportunity. We got a small truck on the road. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. And then, we did it throughout the summer. We were serving 4 communities. 2 of them, we're doing 8 stops a month, doing 4 communities. So two communities a week on a bi-weekly schedule. And we just kept getting phone calls and emails. People like, hey, can you bring this to our community? Hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do that? And we're like, oh, maybe we'll figure it out. Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay, sure. We'll figure that out. And then the winter came, and they're like, you guys can't leave. We need you guys here year round. And we're like, winter kind of sucks here. And then, okay, we'll figure it out. And so we came up with this way to do it indoor, outdoor, and found indoor locations. And then by January of 2019, we're like, hey, there's something here. Like, we're just kind of scratching the surface. We're hearing from the community how much of a needed program this is. And so we incorporated Fresh Roots at the beginning of 2019, separated it out as a nonprofit, because Leftovers had charitable status, and then you're getting into some of the nitty gritty of governance and charitable status and registered charitable objectives and earned income activities, which was a fun learning experience. And the outcome of that was that it was too big of an initiative to run under Leftovers as an organization, because of their registered charitable objectives being in food waste, not in food access and food security. And so then we created a whole new organization, Fresh Roots, and then started to invest in it and grow it. And so at the beginning of 2019, we were probably by that point in maybe like 6 communities. And now, just starting 2020, we're in approximately 30. So
wow.
And we're scaling at that rate constantly. So apparently people like affordable food on their doorstep. Yeah. So it works well.
Who wouldn't? That's fantastic.
Where we came from.
Yeah. It's great. It's a big scale.
Yeah, it comes with its challenges for sure.
Yeah. And what current communities does Fresh Roots operate in? Whereabouts?
So specifically in Calgary, so we have an amazing team in Edmonton doing such amazing work there that I am not as up to date with the work that they're, like the names of the locations that they're working in, but they're doing very similar work. And so in general, what that looks like for now is post-secondary, so students. Recently read a report that like over 1/3 of students at the U of C are food insecure. There's also another opportunity there with post-secondary students where it's, for most people, it's the first time in your life that you're responsible for your relationship with food. And so you're starting to like learn those habits around, meal planning and your own eating habits and what that happens. And so there's a huge opportunity to start that relationship with, hey, we have a grocery store that only sells healthy stuff when it's on your doorstep and it's affordable. And then over time, hopefully develop that relationships with the universities and with post-secondary to improve that service, and try to work with post-secondaries or students to set them up for life, so that we don't end up in the situations that we're in some of these other communities that we work with. So that's more like a preventative population that also is struggling with food security. So it's kind of a unique opportunity there for us. We work with a lot of seniors, people with mobility and accessibility issues, people who don't own cars, newcomers, places where we try to find high density areas where people are struggling with that food security piece. And so so right now what that looks like is we partnered with the Calgary Housing, and we work with an amazing team of city social workers at these Calgary housing units. We work with Mount Royal, Bow Valley College, and U of C currently, with some of the other universities on the way. We partner with First Nations communities, so we have done work with Tsuut'ina, Stoney Nakoda, Siksika, and Stoney Trail. Again, waiting to add some more equipment to serve them on a more regular basis, but continuing to grow that work and those partnerships.
Yep.
Other than that, we work with community associations. Anybody where we can find like a strong partnership to you know, to bring the service to people. So whoever's listening and wants and thinks that's them, just feel free to reach out.
Yeah. Nice. That's what I did.
Yeah. I mean, most of our growth so far has been through word of mouth, people emailing us. So we've never done a formal like request or gone out into community and like asked for recommendations. We've only really just followed up with the people that connected with us. So if you want to be at top of the line, email me first.
Nice. That's so
that
good.
works.
Yeah. We can put your contact information in the show notes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody listening, send you an
email. No worries.
Yeah.
Just at Fresh Roots on any social media platform and I'll see it.
Yeah, perfect. There we go. I don't even have to put in the show notes now. So speaking of the communities that you're working within, I know, Leslie, you were just mentioning before this, some of the impact that Fresh Roots has on the different communities and the people within that. Could you talk a bit about that?
So I heard about Fresh Roots through the grapevine, and I heard about this bus that delivers fresh fruits and veggies right to your doorstep. And it was linking this gap that I was seeing in my service of trying to connect people to healthy and affordable food, and the inability to do that. So really the inability to do my job. So I call Rob up, and all of a sudden the bus is there like a week later.
Nice.
Which is totally awesome. And we both were like, okay, we don't know really how it's going to work. We don't even know if we have funding to support this, but Rob's just like, okay, we'll do it, we'll be there. And we've kind of navigated it ever since. But I think with like a lot of First Nation communities, we see that they're kind of the forgotten, and very rarely are they given a choice as to what foods they want to have at their table. So now this market has really provided connection for the community. So when the bus shows up, you see the family there, the kids are picking out the fruits and veggies they want to have, and then we're talking afterwards about like what meals they're going to make. And again, like we're empowering these individuals to, you know, take their health under their own control, which is pretty amazing just by having the bus show up and really doing nothing but facilitating the schedule. And we're seeing huge improvements in I think relationships with food, access to food, the need and want. I think a lot of times there's a misconception about choices that people are making, but once you give them this access and the choice to whatever they're wanting, you see the direct change in their health. So and it's a lot different than a lot of other programs that have been run out there, because usually they're just given a box of fresh fruits and veggies. And sometimes there's things that they're not aware of in there, which is like a cool learning experience. But again, you know, when a rutabaga shows up in my grocery cart and I'm not familiar with how to cook with it or use it, usually we see food waste or it's just given away. And, you know, now we're given an opportunity around that.
Yeah. That's a great example of a vegetable. Is rutabaga a vegetable? I don't even think I've ever cooked with one. So yeah, I would have the same experience.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, as we grow and as we scale our service and learn and can do stuff. I mean, the idea of making it as culturally appropriate as we can is something that is very like intentional. Well, is hopefully something we can achieve. Right now, we have one vehicle, and so we kind of got to stick to the basics because we're bringing it to, you know, so many different cultures, so many different communities. But you know, when we have hopefully 3, 4, 5, like one of them can specialize in First Nations communities and just serve First Nations communities all week. Another one can specialize in, you know, immigrant or newcomer communities, and for us to be able to curate, you know, produce that is culturally like appropriate to them. So it's a really, from an operational challenge right now, that's logistically very challenging because we can only carry so many items, and that same set has to serve, you know, so that we're not wasting a bunch. Every community that we're in. But as we grow and scale, there's a huge opportunity for us to rely on Leslie for that information. Like what we can curate that. Like what will people actually know how to use, or how can we incorporate it more into these cooking programs that you're doing, or what else can we do to bring something that brings value to this community, and then, you know, for the most part, what's going to work in Siksika is going to work in Tsuut'ina, and so then we can bring it to different communities and be able to hone in on better services as we grow. So that's definitely a huge part of it, is that we're not going to bring, I mean, when we know that we're going out to First Nations communities, if we have some from the day before, like if we bought some eggplant, let's say, the day before, it'll just be on the truck. It'll be there. It'll come out. It won't get bought. in any First Nation community for the most part. But we can also try to focus on the things that we know will. And then, we get a lot of questions where people come up specifically in First Nations communities, like, what is that? It's like, oh, it's an eggplant. Because it's just not a common thing that you see. They're not used to it. So it's definitely an opportunity to listen to community and to rely on our amazing community partners. So on a side note about Fresh Fruits is that we do not go into any community unless we have a community partner. We need somebody in that community for a lot of reasons. Like it plays a huge role in the success of each location. I mean, they're already trusted, they're already known, they already have established communication channels, they already have a layout of the land. There's no way we could navigate that across all the different populations that we work with. And so just to play that, what we'd rather do is build a system that is based around collaboration. And so it's like, look, we have this service, how do we make it applicable to your world and to your community? And listen to them and get that feedback. Because everything that we've learned and everything that we've improved upon in the last year and a half came from feedback from our community partners. Like, hey, this is what we need to see. This is what'll work. They already have established communication channels, and so it's like we don't have to build all this. So we were able to get the word out and communicate with people and to do all this stuff that we need to do, and to make it a success and to honestly build that ownership level. Like we do want communities to feel like they have a level of ownership over it, and that it is something that they have influence over, and it's not just something that we just roll up and here it is as it is. And it's like, no, if it's not working, it's not working. Let's figure out what actually will work. So everything that Fresh Fruits came from feedback and requests and knowledge from people who work in those communities like Leslie. And they just bring that element to it that makes it what it is, because otherwise it's just like vegetables in a truck. And so that uniqueness comes from the community for sure.
Yeah, amazing. You've probably already mentioned some of the answers to this question, but what is that ideal change that you want to see made in the community?
I think it's best to say, what's that ideal change that you want to see in the community? Because the change is going to be done by them. It's not us, right? We're just a service. The actual change is that community partner and working with them. So.
No, totally. And I think I should state that I'm not Indigenous, and that really I'm connecting these great access and resources to our elders, to our knowledge keepers, and to the community. And what is so cool with Fresh Fruits is that they are super innovative, so they allow us to name the market in Blackfoot. They allow us to have a farmer stand alongside and sell his produce. So I think the change that I would say, I'm speaking from my personal view of it, is really to empower these people again, and also I think to have them again with this dignified choice and allowing for everyone to, guess what, you can purchase your fruits and veggies. It's not handed out by the government. It's really I guess self-driven. So you have this this connection around food that we always say, I always stand from the point that food is not just what you put in your body, but it's really this connection with your emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual well-being. And it's really cool because there's many programs going out in Sitsica, and this one is allowing us to bring people back to the table and back together around it, and really reconnecting with these traditional cultural ways. Like this, if you think back to it, this is like the ways that the First Nations were living. So to have this opportunity where we can kind of reconnect with that is, I think, pretty amazing. So that would be my dream is this food access, dignity.
Great dreams.
Yeah, totally. Always. But I don't know, Rob usually says it in a nicer way, so you should probably build off that. No pressure.
We just had a bunch of meetings over the break when things were a bit slower for us, where we're like, hey, we've been doing this for a year now. We've kind of internally had these conversations around who are we and what are we standing for. And so it's a balance between so personally, if you're asked myself, it's I'm really interested now in that relationship, in a community's relationship with food and an individual's relationship with food, from a personal level. But then, as a team, we're sitting around, we're discussing, and somebody brought up a relationship with food is super complex. It's spiritual, it's mental, it's physical, it's your DNA, it's your upbringing, it's your culture. There's so many pieces there, and that's, playing a role in trying to understand and what what a healthy relationship with food looks like for each community is a good like personal endeavor, but from an organizational perspective, you can't. That's not a good. You shouldn't just bite that off. Like that's not where you should go. So we kind of were like, okay, well, what is actually the core of what we're trying to do right now? And if we need to update later, we can. But for now, our mission, or whatever our why, is that we believe that access to affordable food should be a basic human right, and we're seeing too many communities that are struggling with that. And so if we just start with access and affordability, doing it in a dignified way, that is, that as an organization, you can wrap yourself around that and use that as like as a tool, and like, okay, is this too much of a drift? Is this not? Do we want to do this project? Do we not? And so we need these tools to be able to make those strategic decisions. And so that's a lot more specific. It's like, yes, we would love to play a bigger role in helping people establish that healthy relationship with food. However, there are amazing people already out there doing that. There's dietitians, there's health centers, there's the work that Leslie's doing, there's the work that all of these other community organizations, city social workers, everybody they're doing this amazing work. And it all ties into that, right? Like the health of it's the health of a community and the role that food plays in it. And so as Fresh Roots, we can say, look, we want to be a part of the discussion. We want to be in the room. We're going to stick to access and affordability. So scaling that, building that, bring on as many communities as we can to do that is a great starting point for us.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And as we're talking about that scaling and such, we just talked about a bit before our conversation about what you're seeing in other communities and them following the model of Fresh Roots.
So, I mean, Siksik is a great example of somebody who's just super invested and can really take it and make their own. We have other examples, just partnering with different groups. So whether it's the student union in Mount Royal, or if it's the financial wellness team at Bow Valley College, or and what they're doing to leverage this platform that we're bringing. And so in Cetina, they're giving away a voucher to Fresh Roots if you come and get your flu shot. And so it's like something that's good for your health and good for your community, and they're incentivizing it with health. So it's like health incentivizing health, which is for us is never something that we're like, it would be a really good idea. If we incentivize like flu shots with healthy food, it's like that was never something that we thought we were going to do. And it's never something that I would have come up with because I don't work in those communities. I don't think about how do I get people in this community to take their flu shot. Like that's just not like something that crosses my desk. And so being able to encourage and to ask for that and to like empower communities that we work with to do that work is amazing. And so we have some new partnerships coming up, and they're doing unique things. So, we launched in Edmonton, and we're hoping to scale it a lot more across Alberta as a partnership with Boardwalk. And so Boardwalk is a local property management group. They, from my opinion, they specialize in affordable housing for families and a lot of newcomers and stuff. And so the demographic that we want to serve is very aligned. And so they're using it as like rental incentive. And they're using it to be competitive in a market. So they're saying, look, come to this is the hope or the pitch to them, I guess. Man, if they're listening, I can't wait to onboard you, because we're just kind of working it out. But we have launched in Edmonton. We have one location in Edmonton that is at a Boardwalk building, and we're learning from that. But the staff come out and volunteer when we set up there. And so for them, the Boardwalk staff get to build rapport with the tenants of their building, and they can use it as a rental incentive. They can use it as a marketing tool so that they can leverage Boardwalk properties over other apartments. Like if you're comparing two properties and you're trying to choose your new apartment, you're like, well, this one's got a gym, but this one has an affordable grocery store that comes once a week. And so that's just another thing that they can do differently. And the investment from them pays dividends in huge, value to their tenants, from cost savings, from, saving the trips, from community building, from reduced isolation, getting to know your neighbors. Like there's just so many different things that you can do in our seniors communities, building community and getting to know your neighbors. And like, I especially in marginalized seniors communities, isolation is a huge issue. And so leveraging that once a week people are going to come out and get their groceries anyways, what else can we do in that space? So we had a busker come out for a few weeks and just like play music at one of our locations. just to kind of like foster that community. And we've heard from people in that community, they're like, hey, I actually feel like I'm part of a community for the first time in decades, and I actually get to know my neighbors. And neighbors, if one neighbor can't make it out that week, another neighbor will buy their groceries for them and bring it to them.
Oh, that's so nice.
Or if somebody physically, I mean, just to give you an idea of some of the people that live in these buildings, like some people, the traveling of down the hallway, down an elevator, and to their social room in their own apartment building, and carrying groceries, one bag of groceries back that distance is enough of a barrier that they can't do it on their own. And so then they come down, and then somebody else like who lives in the building will help them take their groceries back up to their apartment, because they can get there, but they physically cannot carry a bag of groceries back up to their apartment. And so, you know, there's just different stories that we hear about that. And it's just, like, you know, mainly through the amazing work of our community partners that this stuff happens, because they, like Leslie, they say, hey, this guy has a service that can come out, and we're going to like leverage it to achieve the work that we want to do. So yeah, I can't wait to see what the next crazy idea somebody comes up with.
Yeah, that's fantastic. What I'm hearing about a lot with Fresh Roots is it's having so many of these different ripple effects on different areas of our life, like that, connecting people, empowering people, giving back dignity. Like, it's more than just providing food, which I love to hear. That's one of the consistents I think that I've been most inspired with in all my conversations that I've done on Pause, is just hearing about how much purpose and intent is put behind everything that these organizations are doing. So it's just a little, my personal reflection moment that I'm having here.
Yeah, and I feel the same way every week when people tell me, I mean, like, my focus is on just improving the service that we have. So carrying more products, improving our quality, making our displays look better, thinking about customer experience and interactions and things like that, which are very business based, and so and operational, and like that's just how my brain works. And so then to hear these stories come through our community partners and firsthand from our staff and our amazing staff, is just super motivating. You say, look, it's like that if you build it, like that baseball reference where it's like, if you build it, the people will come, or something.
Is that a baseball reference? I didn't know that.
The dreams, yeah.
If you build it, they will come.
Yeah, if you build it, they will come. And so it's like, well, if we build it and we just keep building it, you know, people will come and just make it so much cooler than I could have ever done. So
it's amazing.
Yeah, there's an aspect of, just I'll give you a little anecdote here, is at the end of last year, we did about 4 events that we did where they're involved, similar to what that event that Leslie and I did called Social Venture Partners, an opportunity to go out and engage the community in what the work that you're doing. You can win prizes, you can win, you know, investment grants, you can win that kind of stuff. And so we did 3 big ones at the end of last year. And so one of them was SVP, and we went out and Leslie and I were in this amazing collaboration category, which I think is the way the world needs to go. And we did an amazing job. And Leslie went out and said this, you know, told this story of this individual in the community that she serves, and ties it into, like, makes it real, makes it like palatable for people, and really kind of like draws people in. And then we're like, and here's how we service them, was my part. I was like, and this is the service that we've built, right? Just to kind of like do that whole complete story.
Yeah.
Then I think it was like a week later, I went and did an event by myself, and I just focused on that part, like on the part that I know, which is like, we can put it on, like, with this investment, we can put this on the road and serve this many people and save the community this many hundreds of thousands of dollars over this amount of time. And then we just got crushed. Like, we did not do good at all. And it just, like, we just didn't do, it did not resonate with the, because it's like, it's all head, it's all like, I mean, right? And so we don't, like, you need to have like a head aspect and a heart aspect. And what we're focusing on is just like on the service itself. But then, like I said, the part that really connects with people, the part that makes it stand out, the stories that people go, oh my God, all come from our community, all come from the community partners. And so my lesson is like, I'm never doing that again. I'm just gonna have somebody from our community come out and do it, because when they tell their story, it's so much more powerful.
Right.
I sit in an office in Calgary, and there's nothing exciting about that. And I sit and I work on spreadsheets. Whereas, you know, our community partners are the one that are actually engaging in community and doing that amazing work. So without the community partners, nobody would want to talk to us.
But without you, there wouldn't be community partners also. It's a
the lesson is that, like, as many times as we can, let's just have them tell their story, because their stories are so much better than ours.
I don't know. As soon as I heard about the bus full of like fruits and veggies coming to your community, I was like, okay, it's a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
Call me.
Yeah. But then it doesn't,
No, I know.
without that like community piece. it's
Totally,
like,
no, I feel
if we
you.
just brought it
Yeah.
out to like a field somewhere, people are like, all right, cool art project. But like,
Cool art project, is that what you said?
if we just like brought it to like some field, but like if we
Yeah.
bring it to a community and
Yeah.
they actually make it their own,
Yeah.
now you have something.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally.
Definitely. So we just talked about some really amazing things that have come from Fresh Roots, the positive stories that are coming from the community and the impact that it's having on individuals. And so what have been some of the challenges and tensions that you've faced in this work that you've had to overcome?
Anybody who's ever started anything kind of shares those challenges. Doing anything from scratch involves just a lot of work, a lot of learning. I mean, it depends on which community. So it's like, which challenges, like challenges in building an organization or challenges in our service, and like they're kind of two different departments, right? Where it's like, I mean, honestly, like in the grand scheme of what you hear in terms of challenges that people go through in terms of building an organization, I think we've had it pretty easy. I mean, I'm one of 3 co-founders, all of us bringing a very unique set of skills and experiences to the table, which was essential in building what we have. And so, Anna Johnson, was initially from Mount Royal University, now currently working out of Oxford University. Her life is in social innovation, social mapping, mapping social problems, understanding the role of different services in community and doing system analysis and whatnot. And just the term being community-led came from Anna, right? And so that understanding of what it's meaningful work in community and what social innovation looks like. I mean, Lourdes has been a rock star in Calgary for over a decade now, and one of the most accomplished and local celebrities, but is so amazing at strategy and relationship management and bringing on some of these like extremely. I mean, the initial partnership that started it all was with Lourdes in the city, and so her ability to bring that to the table and then my background being in engineering and operations and being able to, I mean, they go, it'd be really cool if we had a grocery store and a bus. I'm like, Rob, go build it.
You're like, okay, I'll go build that.
They're like, here's the partnership. Here's how we're going to, like, here's the partnership. Like, here's the thing. Like, here's the whatever. And so they brought all these pieces and then I was like, now build it. And I'm like, all right. It's a little harder than IKEA furniture. Yeah. But then just being who we are. And I think anybody who wants to build anything, if you just add an element of community wellness or doing good in your hood, which used to be a saying that was big in Calgary like 5 years ago. Everybody wore shirts like "do good in your hood." If you bring an aspect of that to your work, it makes every conversation and everything that you do a lot easier. So from the people who built the bus to from the people who fixed the bus, the people who helped, so throughout that whole project or any of the projects that we've done, overcoming those challenges was really easy because I was able to find somebody who knew what I needed to solve and had the ability to solve it, and at the same time was what wanted to do it because of what we were trying to do. So, and it just makes life a lot easier when people just get on board with what you're trying to do. So, I guess we took it 1 week at a time, and now we're just trying to figure out how to make it sustainable in the long term, right? And make it a service. I mean, our intention is to build it so that it is a self-sustaining entity that does not require external funding to exist, which a lot of nonprofits and charities end up on this treadmill of like you fundraise to get money and then that money goes in and then a big chunk of it has to go towards fundraising so that you can bring more money in and you're just constantly on this treadmill. And so the value of social enterprise, or one of the main aspects of it, is that if you can build a large chunk of what you do around your own earned income, that you're able to have the impact that you want while still being not requiring that. And so it's just improving our service, improving what we're doing, becoming more efficient, and doing that kind of work so that we're able to do that. And then when those opportunities do come along to get large external funding, that we just use that to scale to a new level, but then we can maintain that new level with our own operations. And then so that we never require that to stay, because the last thing that we'd ever want to do is to build like these relationships and these habits and these new norms in community, and then just be like, oh, sorry, and leave, right? So our goal is to address challenges as they come, and which is what we're doing now. So we have communities that aren't at volumes that are like, it's economy of scale, and so it's like we're not at volumes that, just like any business, you got to hit volumes and sales and targets and things like that to stay in operations. And there's a lot of communities that we're not there yet. And instead of just saying like, oh, sorry, we tried, like move on, it's like, hey, what's next? Like, what do we need to change? What do we need to do? And working with our community partners to overcome those unique challenges to each location to be able to get there, and coming up with unique solutions for each one, and what that looks like over time. And so that's kind of the approach that we're taking. And so it's a lot easier to solve problems when you're not the only one working on it.
Yeah, it's very true. Is there anything that you wanted to add to challenges or tensions that you face?
No.
Our lack of capacity to come out to Siksika on a regular basis.
No.
When are you going to build another truck?
Bus. We need it staffed.
Yeah.
We need that bus. You're gonna have protesters soon outside your office door.
They're coming. They're coming. Let's be real.
It's coming. That's the learning of just building an organization, right? And so, we went from outside of the founders and myself, we had one staff member, January 2019, and then we had our team like year wrap up party kind of thing. And I was like, we have like currently, including our founders and our whole team size is now like 15, and it was 4. Yeah. So it was like 3 founders and like 1 staff at the beginning of 2019. Yeah. At the beginning of 2020, it's 3 founders and like 12 other people. It's insane.
Amazing. Yeah, that is amazing.
Yeah.
But as we're wrapping up our conversation here, we like to think about the future and what you're hopeful for. So take a minute, think about what you're most hopeful for in the future years to come, and you can do that in even just within this next year of 2020, or if you want to think long term as your ideal future for the world and for the world of food security and all that.
Oh man, I think we all have big dreams around food security. I know that like in the First Nations population, the majority, it's like 48% of people are around in between like 15 and it's a very young population. I shouldn't exactly quote stats here that I'm not 100% on, but I'm hopeful. Fact check. Yeah, seriously. But I'm really hopeful for the youth that are coming into this nation. They all actually really, I think, they do all care about their wellness and health and well-being, and nutrition is a really critical part of that. And I think we are thinking of innovative ways and like kind of pulling away from this government-funded need. Okay, here's my check. Okay, now what can I do with it? But like really being self-sustaining. And I think by having this Fresh Roots mobile market come in, it's really ignited this, I guess like as an outsider, this understanding that, it's not about, and this was my ignorance to it, it's not about people not wanting to eat healthy. It's that they don't have the access to, and starting to see this change and this growth. And we just need to get people good food with dignity. Yeah.
Yes, the access part. Yeah. I think one of our best, or one of my favorite parts of, so much of what Leslie said in our SVP thing was amazing, and we should just cut to an audio clip. I'll send you the audio clip. You just cut to audio, like Leslie's pitch. Perfect. At this point, but one of the lines that I think was like a key line for us is that when you look at like what does this all lead to? Like one of the things that you can track, or one of the issues that we're seeing across every community, is this like steep rise in preventable diseases. So around a lot of it being around health, a lot of it being what you eat and how much you move, and so it's and when you look at these things, so it's like hypertension, diabetes, like heart disease, cholesterol, like high cholesterol, like all these different preventable diseases. It's what we're spending the predominant portion of our healthcare budget on now, and it would be one of the like major incomes. We want to see decreases in that. We want to see communities have healthier relationships with food, in terms of what we want to see. But but when you look at the stats around it, it's like you take, not only are we seeing epidemics in everyday communities, but like marginalized populations are disproportionately affected by them. So you take a rate of diabetes in any community, it's 6 times higher on First Nations communities.
Wow.
So it's like, and so you're just seeing, and so First Nations communities is a great place for us to work, because it's just these problems that we're seeing across every community are just highly exacerbated and disproportionate in First Nations. And so one of the lines that was Leslie's part in our pitch was that, we're seeing these challenges not because of personal choices, but because of broken food systems. And there's a prejudice in there where it's like, oh, they're facing those problems because of some racial, racist reason. When you look into it, that's not the case. It's like, if your only food options are a gas station and a Subway, and you're living within these parameters of living on this community, there is no choice, right? There is one choice, and it's not a great one. And so just improving choice and improving opportunity, and just playing a role in that. And then so, Fresh Roots' answer is that, like, everybody has access to healthy and affordable food in a dignified way. That's what we want to see. But that plays a bigger picture in communities having a healthy relationship with food, which benefits everybody. So we can, reduce health care spending on preventable diseases, because it's not the cancers and the surgeries and the broken bones that we're spending all of our money on. We're treating preventable diseases, and so we're not investing in preventative measures. And so as a community, we need to invest in that. And so instead of just treating symptoms, like, address some of these. As Jared Bluestein would say, got to move the table. Can't just keep getting cut by it.
Yeah.
So what it takes to solve these problems in a long-term solution, and not just do that. So that's what we're looking forward towards, and just the creativity and the investment from our community partners, and what they can do with a very basic service to create, like, really meaningful impact. Like, our service is pretty simple, but then they take it and they make it something cool. So that's what's the best part of this job.
Amazing. I'm very much looking forward to the future that both of you just talked about. Yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you both
thank you very much. Yeah.
For sitting down with me this morning and having a fabulous conversation about Fresh Roots and the different areas that you guys are working within and affecting. So thank you both.
It's totally awesome.
Yeah, thank you for having us. Thanks for sharing the stories of amazing people. Yeah.
Happy to do it. It's my pleasure.
I should
feel very honored.
Appreciate the work that people do. Is that in addition to doing the work that we can do personally, one of my own goals is to try to, like, kind of, like, pull that veil back a little bit and say, look, this is what it takes, this is what you need to do, and kind of support and help as many people that want to do similar projects as possible. And so just, somewhere along the line, I heard somebody do a podcast about something, and I was like, man, I want to do that kind of work, or whatever it might be. And so it's really important to share the stories, and it's not always glamorous, but there are a lot of upsides to it. And that everybody should try and do this kind of work, because it's really fun, and it's you get to meet amazing people along the way. So really appreciate anybody who's trying to encourage other people to get into this world and to try to make do community work is amazing. So thank you.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be here. I feel very honored to interview such wonderful guests every time. So thank you both. Very cool.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to hit the scary red unrecord button. Here we go.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Pause. In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that the conversation you heard today was recorded on Treaty 7 territory, a land steeped in ceremony and history that until relatively recently was used exclusively by Indigenous peoples. We acknowledge the past, present, and future generations of Stoney Nakoda, Blackfoot, and Tsuut'ina nations, as well as the Métis nations who have traditionally gathered in and cared for this place. We recorded this episode at Work Nicer Red Mile in Calgary, and we thank them for allowing us to use their wonderful recording space. This episode was produced by Alberta Social Innovation Connect, or ABC Connect. You can learn more about our network, find our newsletter, and get inspired by and connected to other Albertan changemakers by visiting our website, www.absiconnect.ca. If you enjoyed this episode, please help us out by sharing it with a friend and rating us on iTunes or your favorite listening platform. We'd also love to hear your feedback and reflections on this show, and your ideas for future episodes. Our funding partner is the Suncor Energy Foundation. This episode was recorded and edited by Elise Martinoski of ABSI Connect. Theme music was created by the Fort McMurray Youth of the Sound Force Collective.